about today, and it does go along with the program in this mini masterclass, is our energetic anchors. They could be what you call mental anchor or an emotional anchor, but one of the things that is kind of a make it or break it, in my opinion as a teacher, when it comes to mysticism and working with the mystical laws and universal laws, is that you have to be aware of your anchors that prevent you from, instant change. Because we are in this place where manifestation is very different, and it's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you today. It's one of the reasons why we will be doing a very much deeper masterclass on this on August the 7th. You can go to my website to look that up, PamelaArolin.com, for the deeper masterclass that we'll be doing on August the 7th. But one of the themes has to do with breaking through anchors, and it's a big theme, and we have not discussed that, not on our YouTube mini masterclass, and I hadn't had a chance to discuss it with you. But one of the misinterpretations of modern day law of attraction is that you can just kind of, how I go with illustrations. So we're going to do illustrations today. Guys, I have a lot of talents, but drawing is not one of them, so please bear with me. So some of you have been with me a long time. You've seen me do this drawing for a long time, right? So mastery is here. Mastery tends to come with so many rewards. Sometimes it's a financial reward and sometimes it isn't, but a lot of people want to go straight here. Okay, so this is base camp for your mastery spiritually. You want to go from here, but you want to do invocations. You want to do powerful Kabbalah-based alchemical spells and rituals and ceremony that'll bring you here. And then what happens is, and this is based upon mystical law, okay? I'm going to get this in modern day teachings of law of attraction. Unfortunately, I wish that you would, and this is one of the reasons why I feel so bad to teach it. But nonetheless, you want to go from here to here. So you start out with your vision boards, you start out with all sorts of things, spells, invocations, affirmations, clearing yourself, right? Clearings, healings, releases, all sorts of things. But you want to go from here to here. No problem with that, but you want it fast. And then when it starts to happen fast, there are anchors along the way, okay? Never quite had a chance to teach it to you in this specific way. Sometimes the anchors are big, and sometimes they're just, sometimes they're just a little bit. But sometimes they're like, oh my gosh, right? But either way, you're not aware of this. You want to go from here to here, and you want it like, boom, like fast, lightning speed. Give it to me, universe, and give it to me now, right? My teacher was talking about this a little bit once, and I was doing a replay on one of her workshops because she has better words than I sometimes, and she said, when I wanted to make a big change in my life, and I had been living out in the middle of rural nowhere, and she said because of the mystical implementation and her mystical implementation, her awakening, her mystical initiation, which is real typical for mystics, hers was like memory loss. I'm getting a little bit of that too these days. I don't have anything mentally or physically wrong with me in that regard. But nervous system stuff is a big mystical initiation. So she had grand mal seizures. And the universe, she took it as a blessing because as she was trying to make a big life change, she was like, okay, I need to move from this rural setting. Let's go. And she had had many mystical initiations by then. But because she didn't have anchors, she was like, okay, now I need to find a place. I need to do a quick little this and a quick little that. And, I'm going to apply. I'm going to get a U-Haul truck. I'm going to go online and apply for that. And then I'm going to do this and then I'm going to do that. She did this in I want to say into the space of 10 hours. And then at the end of the day, she called, from wherever she was renting from, and she said, I've been here for a while, for 10 years, but it's time for me to go, and I'm leaving tomorrow. Will you take care of my cat? She's not a city cat. Will you take care of it? And, and she went just like that. How many of you could say that you don't have these anchors along the way when you want to get from base camp to the top of the mountain of mastery, that you're not going to stop? And what do you think those anchors are going to feel like? What are they going to look like? Right? Someone said, yeah, and then I want everything fast and now and evidence, and then I get discouraged and give up. Okay, then you stop here. So the brain says, well, what if that doesn't happen? And what if that's true? And what if the place is bad? And what if I can't get a job? And see all these anchors along the way. And then the biggest one might be, well, I'll be away from my family and I won't get any help from my kids and blah, 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 blah. But she doesn't have any anchors. So she said, okay, I hear you, Spirit. Let's go. I'm going to put an application in. I'm going to get a little, a hotel. I'm going to get a U-Haul and a storage unit, and I'm gone. And in the very next day, she was, she had managed to get that U-Haul trailer, and then she started, I think she had to call like her family to help her pack it, and she was gone. She was gone, just like that. Right, and your brain will say, well, but I have kids, and I have cats, and I have 4 dogs, and I have this, and anchors, 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 anchors. Do you see the difference in how she handled that and how many people typically do? Those are because of anchors. This is why, and I'm going to talk to you about another thing that prevents instantaneous manifesting within anchors. This is why we don't heal as well when you're trying to manifest spiritual and emotional healing, when you're trying to clear karma. I'm going to tell you this, and it's going to initiate, probably shake up and catalyze your ego. It always does, because the ego, you see, fights for and battles for survival. And it's going to shake you up, and it's going to say, I don't like the way that feels. And then your body's going to react, and you're going to get resistance. And in matters of trying to manifest, you must clear and heal that first. But here's what you do instead. And by the way, this could be considered one of these anchors. This is your karmic anchor. And it affects your spiritual progress, your fast expansion, which you claim that you want, right? So here's what you do. You go into that. I'm only laughing nervously, not at you, but with you, because I've done it before. You go in to want to manifest something. And then you start talking about, well, I can't do that because of my emotional wounding. I can't do that because I was really wounded as a child. I have some core beliefs that I need to tend to. I have some wounds. I have some woundology, some wounds that are very deep, is what you would say to yourself. And every time I try to get past these anchors that come along the way between the base camp of manifestation to the top of the mountain of mastery, when I reach one of these anchors, my wounds goes, ouch. They go, ouch, 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 and then I stop. You ever done that? I stop and I say, well, I need more rituals. I need more shadow work. I need more QHHT, BQH, quantum alchemy, whatever process you use. I need more therapy. That's a process as well. I need more this, I need more that, I need more time, I need more manifestation, more, I need the angels to give me signs. That's an anchor as well. We get about right here along the way, about midway through, and we're like, but the universe isn't backing me up with a sign. And then you're like, that's an anchor. The universe isn't coddling you all along the way and giving you any 333s, 111s, or 777s. I tell you what, even if you're given them, would you still not move? Do you see how that works? For instance, I'll give you an example. I was getting ready to make a big choice to move from northern Utah to southern Utah, and that's a big go. That's a 6-hour move and expenses and moving trucks and all that kind of stuff. And the universe said, yeah, put in your notice. And I said, but I don't have a house yet. The universe is like, yeah, just go into Zillow, perhaps in this little area here. Call this person. He's really, really wanting to rent this house. And I said, but I don't want to rent. I want to buy 4 kids. Anchor immediately. Do you see how that goes? And then I kept creating them, and I said, well, you know what? Universe, if I can manifest a sign, then that would be absolutely splendid. And then I'll call the guy. So I was driving down the road, and I was stopped in a ton of traffic, getting ready to pick up my little daughter from preschool. She was about 4 at the time. And I was behind this Big Mac truck. For those of you I take pictures of all my signs because they'd just be unbelievable otherwise, right? And then my angels come up and they're like, yeah, look, pay attention. I know you're in traffic and it's boring, but look right in front of you. The sign's right in front of you. And there was this big, bold black letters that said Grace all the way on the back of the Mack truck. Okay. You know, my word is grace. That's my power word. My whole life I know that word. Everybody has a power word, right? It's really important, by the way. We'll teach you that in the masterclass about how to develop your power word for this instantaneous manifestation. But you've got to remove these anchors along the dang way. Because if you face them, if you get here like I did and you got a big sign that comes up, a big anchor is going to come up to equalize that big sign. And guess what that's called? That's called karma. The energy of karma for whatever you put out there. If your wound is as equally great, if you put a powerful design out into the universe, the blueprint of your karma will put a powerful design back. And my powerful design was that of fear. I only laugh now in hindsight. Back then I was crying about it. I'm like, you showed me the sign, but I still don't feel like I need a more shinier sign. Have you ever done that? I need a bigger thing, God. Make a bird land on my hand. And I mean, we just kept going and going and going. I say that actually in truth, a bird did land on my hand, and it wasn't a nice bird, and he bit me because that was my energy. And then I'm like, but he bit me, so now it's wrong. Like, this is where New Age goes with that. You know, and then a nicer one landed, but then he pooped on me, and then I'm like, well, this is a shitty sign. And we just keep going and going and going, and the more anchors we have that are deep. You notice I have these dangling, imagine them not like Christmas tree ornaments hanging off the top of something, but more like boulders pulling at you. And they come up and they cause anxiety and fear and panic, right? So it happens, and it happens that instantly, that easily, and you go, well, it can't be that. It can't just be that, can it, God? Well, yes, it can. So this is what's different, is that you have to be clear about what your karmic anchors are and what your wounded emotional response is to those karmic anchors. It's not just about determining your belief. That's a heady thing. That's here. You know, that's the core belief process. Now I'm going to talk about that in a minute because that's also very valid. But we start with the soul, not the body, and sure as hell not the head. Can I get a hello on that? Because we start with the soul, not the body. The body saying, I would feel this way or I would feel that way. The body's just following your head, and we don't follow that either. We don't follow whether or not we feel ready, whether or not our core beliefs are really integrated or not. Why? Because all that does is prepare you. Now, it's valid. Now, it prepares you, and I'm going to teach you the very simple way to get through that really quickly without years of shadow work, years of integration, go into a shaman, go into ayahuasca, without smoking a ton of pot and then dropping an edible and all this stuff that I hear. You guys come to me and you get these powerful psychedelic messages from plants, and then you wonder why you're still not ready, and why even when the universe says you are, your brain and your body tells you that you aren't, and you're still afraid, right? So here's why. If the core beliefs stop you, if the fears stop you, and the beliefs about what will or won't happen, or what has happened in the past, what you fear will be repeated, if all those things come up, you need one thing. One thing. Validation. Yeah, I said it. If your brain is still stuck, you need one thing, but you need it 3 times. Now, I'm going to explain it to you why you need it 3 times. This universal law of 3 here. This is a deep mystical law. We need to break through our barriers 3 times with something as simple as having space held for us and having our pain validated. We need it not once, not twice, but 3 times for it to be real for us, so that our woundology is no longer becoming one of these anchors and then adding more to them to keep us from going from the base of the mountain of mastery to the top, to keep us from stopping here every time a karmic anchor gets implemented. We need one thing 3 times. Repeat it after me. What do you need? Validation. How many times? Not once, not twice, 3 times. Here's why. And I'll tell you, this was back in, I will corroborate this little story from back in 2016 or 17. I want to say early 17. I had an office out at the Center for Spiritual Living, and we ran, a whole weekend workshop, and I met some of you guys in person. And one of you came to me, and and I will preface this story by sharing that people come to me and they come with their stories of pain. And there's nothing wrong with that. We all have our stories. We have very deep anchors with our stories, right? We have positive stories, we have negative stories. Even a positive story can become an anchor. And we'll talk about that a little bit in our deeper master class on August the 7th, how even a positive story can become or might be from an anchor. But yeah, I was sitting with someone, and we had done so much work. I mean, she and I had done work for, past few years together, off and on, a bunch of different inner child work processes. At the time, my very first process was an inner child work process, and I realized after time I had to abandon that process, because I can only validate someone's story according to the universal law of 3 different times. And if they don't take it, they actually don't have the mystical language, the pure foundation for what you need for the mind and the body to actually heal and allow your soul to follow its path of expansion. Are you following me there? She was like, well, this can't happen because I still have this wound. And she was still in this deep power under, power over mentality of she needed someone her story was she needed someone to hurt. She had hurt for so many years, and she needed to know that they learned from something. She needed to know that because she suffered so badly at their expense, that they now needed to suffer too. And she could not forgive them, that was her parents, until that would happen. And I realized that no matter how many times I validated that, if she didn't stop after the first 3 times, she actually did not have the mystical, holy language for her brain to process and hold compassion. She couldn't hold the energy of compassion, which in mystical law is what is most needed for the mind and to heal, for the core beliefs to be disintegrated into the ether, and then for the body to follow. She had all kind of problems. She had MS. She had all kind of problems. And her body was showing her that. And I knew at that point in time, I needed to be teaching you mystical law. I needed to be sharing with you these DNA activating. I'm not talking just physical DNA, etheric DNA that comes through lifetime after lifetime, that's there in the soul. It's the reason why you have spiritual awakenings and recollect who you are and what your lifetimes were and what carries through. It's not about if you're carrying through. We all carry through stuff. So I learned in that moment, it was this big, holy instant of spirit saying, oh my gosh, your clients don't have the mystical language. And I said, oh, my clients? And ego got a little defensive and, well, they're pretty good. And my angel said, no, we're just the world. In our modern times, we have lost the ancient mystical language that actually activates the soul to give permission for the mind to feel safe, to give permission for the mind to receive compassion as a building block for the soul's expansion, so that we're no longer having all these anchors on the way to manifestation. And it was just a really big moment for me. And I just didn't teach it at the time. I think I had just started my Patreon spiritual community, and I was really kind of soft and vulnerable at that time. And I'll just teach whatever you want. Here's a poll. Which I'm very different on Patreon these days. Now I say, this is what you need. Don't like it, leave. I love you. On the way out, I'll give you a massive hug, but this is what you need. So I began to consider talking about the power of holy language and talking about what we need to heal at the soul level at this point in time, like recently, like this year. And when I asked what I needed to remember to be able to delve into the power of holy language, I was given that memory of just waking up and sitting before this person, and she just could not get out of her woundology. And it was just this real instant download of, oh my gosh, humans don't have what we need because we've replaced the ancient sacred building blocks of our soul so many thousands of years ago. And we wonder why we're doing process after process, and we're finding many purposes creatively. We're manifesting so many things quickly because manifestation is at the speed of light these days. Have you noticed it? In that moment, she was manifesting, my client. It wasn't that she wasn't, I'm able to teach someone to manifest really fast. But then she came back to me and she's like, so I manifested the love of my life, but holy cow, it hurts. And he lives across the world. And I'm like, okay, what happened with money? Actually, I got this incredible windfall of someone died and left me money, and it was $150,000. And I'm like, okay, how long did it take? 2 months. And that was 2017. Now you're manifesting money like instantly with these mystical laws. But then you don't have, number one, the validation, and you need to remember not once, not twice, but 3 times. You need someone to witness you. This is called the sacred witness. In Advaita, it's called witnessing. The observer becomes the observed. I've studied Eastern mysticism, Western mysticism, but what really brought everything together for me was mystical law, the power of 3. How our soul operates in 3s and 7s. And I realized in that moment when I was given this vision, oh my gosh, humans don't have, in this memory of just sitting with this client, and no matter how much work she would do, she could manifest anything and still not be happy. This client ended up being a millionaire, by the way. She doesn't need me anymore. She doesn't have any reason to expand her soul because now she has money. Sadly enough, that's where that went. She manifested everything. But then she still doesn't know who the hell she is, because no one was there for her to witness her soul's growth, to hold space for her, to validate her. Not once, not twice, but 3 times do we need that sacred witnessing. And I don't care what it looks like. It could be a breakthrough in therapy. It could be that someone really sees you and you know it, and they say, wow, that right there, you're telling me your story and you're bleeding it out to me and throwing it out at me, and that I'm hearing you, I'm feeling you. What you went through was not right, and it was not the way that a child should have been treated. It was not the way a lover or a wife or a husband should have been treated. It was not okay. And in that moment, the soul feels a bond of trust. Dolores Cannon talked about this when she was alive, and when I began to channel her spirit as well. She said, we need a bond of trust. All right? So trust is one of the things that you need. It's not that I can give you a blueprint and say, well, it needs to be in therapy, or it needs to be in some, Kabbalistic complicated formula, or it needs to be, it's not necessarily that, although those could be some examples. So this is why we need each other. Another human or a spirit guide or an angelic person on your team, a being on your team, someone with whom you have a trust bond needs to witness for you. So we're going to be giving those examples of witnessing and what that looks like. But every soul is different, just like every mind is different and every body is different, and what it is for you could be different than what it is for someone else. There's so many examples of how you can ask the angelics to witness for you. There's so many examples of how you can ask your spirit guides to be the witness for you. But you need a sacred witness. Okay? It's not necessarily that it's always another human, but it sure as hell would be helpful. And when it can't be, then it can be someone on your spirit team. It can be a being on your spirit team. You need a sacred witness. That's why we have anchors, and that's why we keep beating ourselves up with healing processes and not actually getting anywhere through them. All right? So we're going to be talking about in this class the various anchors. There are 7 different anchors. Things come in 3 and 7s, and whether that be the things that hold you back or the things that pull you forward. Mystical laws occur in 3s and 7s. 3s and 7s. We're going to be talking about 7 mental anchors, emotional anchors. This is what we call woundology, where we get wounded. What prevents us, not from manifesting, because you can manifest easily, and I can teach you that fast, right? It's that you have anchors that are in the way, things are happening, and then you stop it. You stop the manifestation in its tracks. How many of you have done that? I know I have. So you need to be aware of how you stop your manifestations. You need to follow the 7 mystical laws that help you. There are not 1, not 2, not 3, but 7 ancient mystical laws, not from New Age, not from modern times, from as far back as the Dead Sea Scrolls and slightly further. And then we go into the Nag Hammadi, we go into the Gospel of Mary, we go into both Eastern and Western mysticism and connect the dots to find what all the ancient mystics say about the 3s and the 7s. Why do we need to have a sacred witness 3 different times, right? All of that, all of these mystical laws and all of the major anchors that come along with a masterful soul, not because you're doing badly. This is grad school, not boot camp, okay? This is an earth school, so the more anchors you have, chances are your mastery is going to be 3 times as higher. Remember the law of 3. If you have painful things going on right now, your mastery is going to be 3 times as strong. The reward is great. All right? So for those of you watching and wondering about the full masterclass, it is going to be on August the 7th. We need to close now so I can go tend to my family on Sunday, and for you to be able to do the same. I don't want to keep you forever on these mini master classes, but the class is going to be powerful. And it's something that's been kind of stirring in me since 2017 or so. And quite frankly, it was almost too powerful for me at that time. And I just went, yeah, people think of law of attraction, and they think of just putting up your vision board, and there's so many little quick tricks. So that's the easy stuff. But how are you holding yourself back? How can we manifest from mystical law? How can we let go of how quickly or how slowly it's happening? How can we follow our own soul's process in the journey without pushing our soul to do it faster? You know, getting it fast is the easy part, guys. Manifesting is the easy part. You getting out of your own way, on the other hand, we need mystical law for that, okay? So Anya just put that in chat for you. Ask for your 30% personal discount code. So do the math. It takes $13 to join my massive Patreon community with hundreds of unseen classes, sound healings, channeling, surprise little things that we do. We're a pretty tight-knit community over there, and all are welcome, right? $13 to get 30% off of a very otherwise $100 class. You do the math, like it really adds up. It really, really does. So I hope to see you on both of those places, and I hope to see you on August the 7th. You can get that at PamelaAirline.com. All right. Well, it's good to see you guys this Sunday. Thanks for joining me, and we'll try to do these more often. I need to be more active on Instagram, but I got a little, dissuaded. Like the last time I got hacked here, I just kind of went, I don't know if I want to come back here. I'm just going to get hacked again. See the anchor? Become aware of your anchors, right? Right? I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.